Hello everyone, this is Shifa. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to talk about T.S. Eliot's tradition and individual talent. In my previous video, I have already talked about T.S. Eliot's a little bit of introduction. I have given his introduction. I have talked about his important poems because he was one of the great poet, and also I have talked about his plays and his literary criticism works. So not only he was a great poet, but he was also a great literary critic. In this video, I am going to discuss about his work, one of his work, tradition and individual talent. Before starting with the work itself, we need to understand that why this work was written in the first place. If you know about romantic age or romanticism, you must also be aware of one of the most important romantic poets, most important in fact romantic poets, and that is William Wordsworth. According to William Wordsworth, what is poetry? Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. What does this mean? This means that you have to collect all your emotions, you have to collect all your feelings, and you sit down in one corner, and after collecting all those emotions and feelings, you start writing your poetry. So this is how you put your personal feelings, whatever you're feeling, your emotions in that particular poetry, and make it beautiful. This was belief of most of the romantic poets. Okay, now T.S. Eliot wrote this work in the year 1919 in the magazine, which is a literary magazine, The Egoist. The name of the magazine was The Egoist. So he wrote that writing poetry is in fact an escape of emotions. What does this mean? He is not saying us to be emotionless. He is not saying that you have to be completely emotionless and you don't have to pay attention towards your emotions. He is saying that we should be able to dislocate our own personality from our own work, which also means that when we look at the poetry, we should be able to consider that okay, this poetry is great irrespective of what poet is feeling right now. Now, how is this possible? Like, the poetry is great, but the poet may not be. So this literature only answers. There are lots and lots of people who were very much divergent from our so known canons. For example, there are Beat Generation people, Beat Generation writers. They used to take drugs. They have a notion of living a tension-free life, but their literature is accepted. Then there were writers who were in jail, who were murderers, but then again their piece of work is also accepted. So what T.S. Eliot is saying? T.S. Eliot is saying that in order to make your poetry great, you have to escape your emotions. The poetry should have historical timelessness. Now, what does this mean? When a poet writes poetry out of his own emotions, as soon as the emotions decay, the poetry is going to get decay. If you want to write a poetry which is relevant through all the ages, okay, which is going to live forever, you should be able to control all your emotions, and you should be able to have a powerful concentration. Okay, you have to have a deep study of writing a poetry. So writing a poetry is not just like a very easy task. You should be able to have a lot of focus while you're doing this. And he says that when he's talking about historical timelessness, he is saying that he's using the word tradition. Now, why he's using the word tradition? He also clarifies. He says that when people talks about tradition, they think that something which is outdated, जो पुराना हो चुका है, जो अभी डेट में नहीं है. एंड पीपल ऑलवेज थिंक ऑफ ट्रेडिशन एंड मॉडर्निज्म इन अ वेरी डिफरेंट सेंस, इन अ वेरी अगेंस्ट और कॉन्ट्रास्ट सेंस कि मतलब कि लोग ऐसा देखते हैं, पुरानी ट्रेडिशंस को इस तरीके से देखते हैं कि उनसे हट के हमको कुछ करना है और उसको अगेंस्ट में देखते हैं, ट्रेडिशन को हमेशा अगेंस्ट में देखा जाता है. बट T.S. Eliot is saying that tradition is in fact a guide towards us. तो अगर आप अपने पुराने पोएट्स को देखते हैं, आपको पता चलता है कि किस किस टाइप का वर्क आके जा चुका है. उससे आपकी रियलाइजेशन बढ़ती है एंड आप उसी ट्रेडिशन को लेके यू कैन टेक दैट सेम ट्रेडिशन एंड यू कैन कन्वर्ट you can put your own individual talent in it and you can convert that single poetry into a historical timelessness poetry. तो जब आप पुरानी ट्रेडिशन को स्पेशली ही इज़ मोस्ट डाइवर्टेड या डेविएटेड टूवर्ड्स क्लासिसिज्म. ओके, सो क्लासिक पोइट्स जो थे, फॉर एग्जांपल ही ऑल्सो गिव्स एग्जांपल ऑफ होमर. तो उनको वो बोलते हैं कि उनसे हमको सीखना चाहिए क्योंकि वो एज अ गाइड का काम करते हैं और हमारे पोइट्री में उनको ज़िंदा रखना है. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो पोएट चले गए तो हमको उनकी बात नहीं करना है कि कंसिडरिंग देम एज अ डेड पोएट. एक असल पोइट्री वही होती है जो हिस्टोरिकल टाइमलेसनेस को रिप्रेजेंट करती है. एंड ही ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट नॉवेल्टी. ही सेज दैट कोई भी नई चीज़ को बनाने के लिए यू कैनॉट मेक एनी थिंग इन आइसोलेशन. जब आप कोई नई चीज़ को बनाते हो तो यू नीड हिस्टोरिकल टाइमलेसनेस, यू नीड टू हैव सम गाइड बिहाइंड यू. तो आप उन गाइड्स को यूज़ करके आप अपना इंडिविजुअल टैलेंट, यू हैव टू टेक ट्रेडिशन एंड यू हैव टू टेक योर इंडिविजुअल टैलेंट और उन दोनों चीज़ को आप जॉइंट करके अपना एक अलग पीस ऑफ आर्ट वर्क पे प्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं. नाउ आप ये चीज़ देख सकते हो कि T.S. Eliot हैज़ प्रेज्ड मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स इन हिज ऐसे मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स. तो अगर आप उनका भी एग्जाम्पल देखो तो T.S. Eliot वाई ही वॉज इम्प्रेस्ड बाई मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स, बिकॉज उन लोगों ने क्या किया था, उन लोगों ने जो हमारे पुराने पोएट्स हैं जिनके मेटाफर्स थे रोमांटिक्स मेटाफर्स, तो रोमांस को उन लोगों ने किस तरीके से बयान किया है, उन लोगों ने अपना इंडिविजुअल टैलेंट डाले. दे हैव रिटन मैनी पोइट्रीज यूजिंग डिफरेंट मेटाफर्स विच आर इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट. तो जॉन डिन की अगर आप पोएम देखो या हर्बर्ट की अगर आप पोएम्स देखो, दे वर द मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स. तो किस तरीके से लवर्स को कंपास से दे कंपेयर. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से आप अपने पुराने राइटर्स का, अपने ट्रेडिशन को लेकर चल के आप अपनी नई क्रिएशन क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. एंड वो क्रिएशन कैसे होगी, वो क्रिएशन एक हिस्टोरिकल टाइमलेसनेस में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगी. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू T.S. Eliot, he says the true poetry is a poetry which is written under full concentration, not under flow of emotions. आप बस बहाव में आके इमोशंस के पोइट्री लिख नहीं सकते. यू हैव टू हैव अ कंट्रोल होल्ड ऑन योर इमोशंस. यू हैव टू हैव अ डीप फोकस्ड, यू हैव टू हैव अ नॉलेज ऑफ योर प्रीवियस एंसेस्टर्स. आपके ट्रेडिशंस आपको पता होने चाहिए. देन ओनली आपको ये बहुत सारी मेहनत के बाद आपको वो पोइट्री आपके लिख के आ जाती है. एंड ही ऑल्सो सेज दैट your poetry is great and not the poet, because poet के emotions, poet का जो भी feelings है, that shouldn't be reflecting on that particular piece of work. So I hope you understood what this is. So all in all, he has divided this essay into 3 parts. He has talked about traditions, he has talked about theory of impersonality. Impersonality अभी जो मैं समझा रही थी, that your personality shouldn't be reflecting on your piece of art. आपको कंट्रोल करते आना चाहिए अपने emotions. And then he has concluded this whole essay saying that के powerful emotions पे poetry नहीं बन सकती है. You have to have control on your emotions. Okay, so this was it. I hope you like this video. Take care. Bye.